I will be discussing the significance of Article 19 from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. This is the right to the freedom of expression, and essentially, Article 19 protects the rights of individuals to share and hold opinions freely without fear of being persecuted. Freedom of expression is mainly protected by political structures that ensure the freedom of the press and safety of human rights defenders. It's a really important topic because limitations to freedom of expression stand in the way of all of the global goals and continues to endanger the lives of activists. In 2019 alone, 300 human rights defenders from 31 different countries were killed for defending the rights of other people. This right is so important because it protects a nation's ability to hold its government accountable. In democratic states, the press has become a free institution that keeps its nation informed, and in principle, this keeps a certain amount of control over the government in the hands of its people. In more authoritarian states, this right is harder for journalists and activists to achieve, and so it's harder for them also to defend human rights. I became aware of the implications of restrictions to Article 19 while I was an intern at the Centre for Applied Human Rights at the University of York. This department has a protective fellowship scheme that provides human rights defenders with respite in the UK for 6 months every year. And it wasn't until I learned about their situations and spoke with them about human rights abuses that they were defending that I realised a problem that underpinned the ability of every single activist to bring their issues to light were restrictions on their freedom of expression. So looking back at 2019, OHCHR, which is the Human Rights Council for the United Nations, named Colombia as the nation with the highest number of activists murdered. That was 107 people that were killed last year and a further 10 that were killed in the January of this year. And it was predominantly activists protecting the land rights of specific indigenous groups and those advocating for LGBTQ+ rights that were killed. But persecution isn't just government-led. In regions with higher poverty rates or where government institutions struggle to maintain control, defenders are often threatened by paramilitary groups or criminal organisations. So, looking at the impact on the global goals last year alone, limitations to freedom of expression through persecution or self-censorship has restricted work to reduce inequality, work towards climate action, protecting life below water and life on land, and it also impacts the Partnership for the Goals and significantly limits the improvement of peace, justice, and strong institutions because people are just unable to defend them. Freedom of expression is so important essentially because it's a mechanism that allows for the promotion and defence of every single global goal. Without the ability of individuals or groups to exercise this right, all of these issues go unheard. So, looking at making a difference, respite schemes like the one at the University of York are so beneficial because they provide human rights defenders with training and support. Defenders often work in really hostile environments, and so these schemes offer them a chance to work away from those environments and access information that will allow them to make a stronger difference when they return home. Defenders are also provided with the opportunity to explain to academics and those that provide information for protected bodies like the UN the reality of their situation so that support for them can be better targeted. And this also allows for the exposure of offending nations on a global stage. The United Nations for the Declaration for the Protection of Human Rights Defenders was issued in 1998, and among other significant parts of the article, it called for the protection, promotion, and implementation of human rights, but often where state support is ineffective, this aid can only be offered by grassroots organisations or parts of civil society, so support for activists around the world is very disparate. As global citizens, we have the responsibility to help. We need to keep up with current events and not take headlines for granted. We need to support projects that fight poverty and that also help to protect human rights defenders. Exposing violations to freedom of expression and bringing them into global conversations supports those that speak up for the rights of those that can't speak up for themselves and the causes that are constantly being overlooked. Thank you.